What up? What up? It's your boy RVA from VA, Richmond to be exact, and I'm back again, back like I never left. Yeah, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back at you again, and today is Friday. We're 2 days away from our matchup with the Detroit Lions. We will be playing the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Um, this is going to be a big matchup, and I think this is going to be a bigger matchup than some people may think. You know, a lot of people may say it's only week two and things like that, but for the Washington Commanders, this will be a huge advantage to win this game, especially when you look at our schedule moving forward. This is one of the quote unquote easier games in the season. Now, when we've played in Detroit over the years, I think the last 4 years or 5 years or so, we haven't been able to win in Detroit. But a lot of that was due, I believe, to Matthew Stafford, who was the quarterback then, who now plays for the Super Bowl champion, said St. Louis, the Los Angeles Rams. So now they have a new guy, Jared Goff, in charge running that offense. So you know, we're now the Washington Commanders. We're trying to turn over a new leaf, but this would definitely be a huge victory and a good one to build off to be able to start 2-0 on the season from a very long time of doing that. So today I want to start the show. I want to give some guys their flowers. Two guys that are absolutely commanding respect. And I want to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here. So first, ladies and gentlemen, we have our guy, Jahan Dotson, was named the Pepsi Rookie of the Week. And, you know, I've been talking about this guy all off seasons. I was one of the first people note this to say that, and there's also a video on my channel, go check that out, said that it is not crazy to say that there's a possibility that Jahan Dotson can be Rookie of the Year. He had a strong showing in his first game as a Commander, 2 touchdowns on only 3 receptions, 40 yards, with a huge game winner. So this guy is looking lights out. And like I said, he definitely is on the track to possibly being the Rookie of the Year. Also, second guy I want to shout out. I mean, it is more or less really guys that I want to shout out, but Carson Wentz, man, got to bring him up. Carson Wentz spreading the wealth. Let's talk about it real quick. And then also, ladies and gentlemen, I got my man Logan from on here from My Love for Washington. He's going to be joining the stream. He just popped in now, so let's go ahead and add him to the stream as well. What up, Logan?
What's up? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I just
appreciate
started.
you having me on.
Yeah, most definitely. If you want to go ahead and plug your socials, just so people can know where to find you, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I got you. I am My Love for Washington on Instagram. If you guys don't know, same name on YouTube. My podcast is Talking Hogs on YouTube as well. That's basically all I got right now. So.
All right, cool. So what I was doing was before you popped on, I was starting the segment, you know, of guys commanding respect. First guy I put on the screen was Jahan Dotson. As we know, he was named Pepsi Rookie of the Week. And then I was also gloating about the fact that I have a video on my channel that I did about a month ago when I said it is not crazy to think that Jahan Dotson can win Rookie of the Year. So I'm feeling extra spicy right now about the way he performed.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. That definitely makes sense, especially since normally it's a quarterback's award, you know, offensive rookie of the year. And it wasn't necessarily a deep class. No starting rookies, I don't think. I'm trying to, yeah, no.
Nope.
So that definitely opens it up for receivers. And you look at guys like Garrett Wilson, who's got Joe Flacco as his quarterback. I could see maybe Chris Olave, but with Michael Thomas being back, you know, Jahan Dotson, and he's already off to a hot start. You know, only rookie receiver with a touchdown. makes sense, bro. That's I feel like that's a reasonable take.
Yeah, most definitely. And then second guy out here, commanding respect. And I said just now is really more than one guy, but ultimately I want to give the flowers to Carson Wentz. As we know, this offseason, there's been so much drama around this guy.
Yeah.
Starting in Indianapolis with the Colts, the Washington make the huge trade. I don't know how you feel about it, and we may touch on that, but we may not have. We may get to that another day. But just speaking where our feet is right now, perfect graphic, spreading the wealth. We've seen the absolute beautiful job that Carson Wentz did spreading the ball. I mean, you got Antonio Gibson on the list with 7 receptions, 72 yards. Curtis Samuel, 8 receptions, 55 yards and a touchdown. Jahan Dotson, the rookie we just talked about, 3 receptions, 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then we don't stop there. We got Terry McLaurin, 2 receptions, 58 yards and a touchdown. And then Logan Thomas, who was so good to see come back and play. 3 receptions and 45 yards. And those 45 yards are understated because they were in huge spots throughout the game when he made those catches. Do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Yeah, dude. Number one thing I was saying first preseason game was it's obvious on Wentz's film that he trusts the players on the offense. That's the biggest thing is he's not just looking for Terry. He's not looking for one guy. It goes to everybody. A guy like Armani Rogers, who wasn't even really supposed to get any time in the preseason, maybe like second, third quarter, comes in as the starter because of injury, and Wentz is throwing balls up to him on the sideline with defenders there, letting him go up and get it because it's obviously trusts his players. Right. And then Armani gets a catch in the game when he only played like 5% of snaps. So I think, just to be able to go out and distribute to everybody and give everybody a fair chance, not only opens it up for guys like Terry, to go out and make plays because the field is spread. The number one worry that there was with this offense and all this firepower is if we're going to be able to get the ball to all these guys, because there's so many skill players, so many guys that can make serious impact and big plays that, you worry they won't all be able to get the ball. And that's a good start. It's a really good start. Big thing about Wentz's film is his ability to distribute to his teammates and make sure that he's not staring down one guy. He looked great in that game. And I think that's a big, it says a lot for what this offense is going to be capable of going down the rest of the season.
Right, most definitely. And one thing I just want to elaborate before we move on to Detroit is, one of the questions and one of the things I feared, over the offseason, and I pound the pavement and I watched a lot of Carson Wentz tape. Before he was in Washington, I wasn't a fan, but that was more or less not due to his skills. It was just due to the fact of how he used to absolutely kill us when he played for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I knew he was a talented guy, but over this offseason, after we acquired him, I started to really pound some of his tape. And one of my worries was, as everybody talks about the hero ball Carson, and I said to myself, what really made me feel better is if you look at what Taylor Heinicke did last year, as we know, he didn't have the arm talent to make a lot of the big throws, but he felt comfortable in guys like J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson, because when you get the ball in their hand, they make dynamic plays. So I felt that Carson Wentz would have, some level of trust knowing that, he has 2 backs that are able, when he can't get, the look he's looking for, he's able to get the ball to them and trust and know that they're able to make plays for him. So, it was really beautiful to see. Like you said, we're just getting started here and seeing what Carson Wentz can do with this offense, and the way he spread it around was absolutely beautiful. So, like I said, those are 2 guys that I wanted to give their flowers to, out here commanding respect. As you know, this is Command Respect TV. But now me and my man Logan are going to go ahead and start to look into our next week 2 opponent, and that is the Detroit Lions. So where I want to start, Logan, is we're going to start with the injury reports. I want to look at both of those, and then we'll, discuss and elaborate, and, we can bring up any details or anything that you may want to bring up or I may want to bring up.
I got you.
So first, we have the Washington Commanders injury report. And what I did here is I have the players listed, and then the injury. And then the only day that I really care about is Friday. Friday is the day that really gives you the information you need. So as we look at this list here, we see we have guard Wes Schweitzer, dealt with a hamstring injury. He was limited today, so that could be an issue. But I feel comfortable knowing that the depth we do have on the offensive lineman, Sadiq Charles, he did a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
So that's one of our stronger units, I would say. So even missing Wes Schweitzer there, we should pretty much still be good to go. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think not being able to see Trey Turner in week one was kind of disappointing. But then you're like, we got Wes Schweitzer, and Wes Schweitzer's one of the most underrated guards in the league. So now it's just vice versa. If he's going to be out, I know Trey Turner was dealing with injury, but it's obvious that he's going to be playing Sunday more than likely. So I feel safe with that. And even if Trey Turner doesn't take that spot, I'm totally cool with Sadiq Charles. He's not amazing at all, but he's got serious athleticism for a guard, and he fills that role real nice. I feel fine with our depth at guard. It's our, like you were saying, it's one of our strongest units.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. And it's so funny because we don't have the sexy names on the offensive line outside of like Sam Cosmi, like because he was a second round draft pick and a very athletic guy. But outside of that, we just got workers, man. We really do. We got workers.
Yeah, for sure.
So next, we got our man, Jonathan Allen, dealing with a groin injury. We saw last week in the end of that game in the fourth quarter. I was hoping and praying that it wasn't something more bigger because we lost our man Phidarian Mathis. But he was a full participant today. In game status, you don't see anything there. So we know he will be playing. And I think that's huge because, as we get into the Detroit Lions injury report, we'll see why that's huge. But it seems that they have a couple offensive linemen that are banged up that we can really take advantage of. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I know that just the way they were talking about his injury, it didn't seem serious. Like as soon as it came out there, he said he felt fine, and he's full participation. So I think he'll be good to go. It would definitely hurt if he wasn't, just with Phidarian Mathis. I think we'll be good. I like to see Donovan Jeter when he comes in. I'm excited to see that. He was he was highest. I think it was the highest PFF grade of any nose tackle in the preseason, all through the preseason. So I'm excited to see. He's obviously not a big name, but he's going to get his rotation with Phidarian out. Phidarian was a big part of that defensive line, even just being a rookie. So, but we got Jonathan Allen. That's all that matters, man. He was tearing up in that first game. Lots of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Next, we got our man, safety Cameron Curl, dealing with a thumb injury, limited and then questionable as well. Now, my feelings on this situation with Cam Curl is if he is not 100% healthy, I don't want to see him out there. My thoughts on his performance in the preseason, I know it's just preseason. He seemed to, kind of, I don't want to say regress, but seemed to be gambling a lot and getting caught in some spots where, he wasn't able to make a play on or he was out of position. And now seeing Derek Forrest come in and being able to man that position until Cam Curl is, ready to go. I'm okay with that. So here it says questionable. We shall see. Probably is going to be a game time decision. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the way they were talking about Cam Curl, and his injury, him missing week one and then coming in this week, it's a toss up. Like most people are saying, some people think he's not going to play, some people think he is. Either way, just like you were saying with not rushing him on there, because that's something that's been big in our team's history is rushing guys through injuries and making it worse. That'd be really bad because to me, Cameron Curl is one of the key players on this defense. He's easily our best safety. He's one of the biggest parts of our secondary. It would be foolish to push him in if he's not 100%. So, we have especially since we have the players to hold that spot. While he's out, we got Derek Forrest, who looked really, really good last week, highest PFF grade of any safety in week 1. So he obviously balled out. He's still got work to do. He's not nearly the same as Cam Curl, but we got Derek Forrest. Percy Butler looked really good, although he's playing more Buffalo nickel and kind of sliding into Bobby McCain's spot.
Right.
But Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves, who to me is a dog. Jeremy Reeves can, he could do almost anything Cam Curl can, even if not at his level. We got too many people there to hold up that spot to start rushing Cameron Curl. But if he's there, that's just a bonus for our defense. It'll look good no matter what to me.
Yeah, most definitely. The one thing I will say about my man Cam Curl is I think that we are playing a physical team this week who wants to impose their will. We know who their coach is and Dan Campbell and what he's trying to build there in Detroit, and having a guy like Cam Curl who brings that physicality to the game and gets that defense going. Like you said, he's grown into one of the leaders on this defense. Even with being a quiet guy, but he's one of those guys that his play speaks for itself. So you would love to have that out there, but I definitely, like you said, with the depth we have here in Washington now, and then also the play of Derek Forrest and seeing how physical he can be as well, it gives me a little more comfort if he's not able to go on Sunday.
Yeah. Real quick, dude, to me, that what you were just saying about Cam Curl being, quiet leader, one that just leads by his play, to me, that's what's so special about this team is, dude, we have so many of those guys that are quiet and reserved, but just as strong a leader as you can be. Charles Leno is a hard leader that's not super vocal. He shows you with his play and his commitment. And being an Iron Man for the team and showing who he is. You got guys like Chase Roulier, who's one of the best centers in the league, doesn't talk at all. He's still a leader. You got Terry McLaurin, who's the biggest example of that. Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, even Jahan Dotson, Cam Curl, all these guys aren't huge. And Carson Wentz, that's another good example. A lot of people like to dog on who he is as a leader, but in reality, every player you hear from that played with him talks about how great of a leader he is. It's one of those guys that leads by example, and I feel like that's the kind of just the theme of our team, and that's why we're such a good underdog but just impactful team, because we got all these guys who are genuine leaders and willing to do anything for the team that they don't need to say a whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So now moving on, they got Jamin Davis listed. He had a personal issue going on. He was full. There's no worries with him being missing. Now, I do want to talk about this Get Your Feelings Engage You on the comments from Jack Del Rio. And then also it came out today that Ron Rivera kind of doubled down on those comments. My thoughts on the whole situation with Jamin Davis and the coaching staff is, I'm trying to look at it positively. And I think that, I don't know Jamin Davis personally, but I think that what they're trying to do is, because this is what I would be trying to do. I would be trying to fire Jamin Davis up and give him that chip on his shoulder. And I think that's maybe the angle that Jack Del Rio's going with, because as we know, Jack Del Rio is known for being a pretty tight-lipped guy. When he does his press conferences, he doesn't really give you a lot. So for him to say that really caught me off guard. So I think more than anything, they're trying to give Jamin Davis a chip on his shoulder, because we know, and the coaching staff knows, his physical abilities with the speed and the measurables and things like that. And, he definitely can perform better. I didn't kill him for his week 1 performance, but a couple plays I did mention that we were bailed out on by Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they're a bad team. They're very talented, but they're a bad team. They couldn't make the winning plays when they needed to make it. So hopefully we see a better performance from Jamin Davis, but it's a huge uptick from last season. So, I'm okay with that. What's your thoughts on Jamin Davis?
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal on my page about my support for Jamin Davis since his rookie year. I know a lot of people are kind of just real down on him and just think he's, a garbage player. But the reality of the situation to me is, at least from what I've seen on film, I was doing I was on there for a couple hours on the All-22 from week 1 last night, just going over, just kind of take a look at our middle field situation and pass
Right.
defense. And that's the biggest thing I saw is it's very obvious that Davis is feeling his way into his strengths. I feel like they're trying to figure out what exactly he can do because, he was described as a pass coverage type guy that could get, all across the field and use his vertical speed to get off the edge and set the edge and just make plays in the run as well as the pass. And I think, the more you see his film, the more you realize, he's just got to start playing to his strengths. Whenever we make him a free man, and and the decision is up to him to sit in the pass and sit in the hole and play pass coverage, make his own decision, or go after the quarterback, or just go after the running back and get past the block. 90% of the time, he sits in pass coverage, and that's not necessarily a weakness of his. He's not terrible in pass coverage like some people think. But I think that if we just start using him more to his strengths, having him come off the edge a little bit more, not as, a straight edge rusher, but just using him more versatile and not forcing him into pass coverage situations, I think he could look really good. He's a guy that has genuinely he's really athletic, and he has crazy vertical speed for the position he plays. Right. He's got a lot of intangibles that if we find a spot for him and play to his strengths, he could be one of the best young linebackers in the league, and probably as good as Cole Holcomb is. If he finds his sweet spot, Jamin Davis could be the best linebacker on this team. He's got skill, but as of the situation right now, I think he's obviously improved from last year. Jack Del Rio is a guy, he's known to be straightforward and honest with his players, and you're definitely right about that. I feel you on just kind of trying to light a fire, because all Jamin has been hearing since his rookie year is, he's a bust. He's not nearly as good as he should be. We should bench him. He should be moved to another, and that kind of stuff. That's the motto of this team. That's the energy of this team, and I expect Jamin Davis to take that as fuel and go prove himself the rest of the season. So I got faith in Jamin, definitely.
Right. Yeah, me as well. Next, we got guard Trey Turner, quad. But he was a full participant on Friday, so we should see this guy be ready to go on Sunday. He was the first week, I think, when Wes Schweitzer went down, they were forced to play Trey Turner on the back end of that game more than they would have liked to, and he was pretty solid. We seem to be able to find guys on the offensive line. We do a pretty well job with having guys come in, free agents and things like that, and perform pretty good for us. So we'll definitely need him on Sunday. Hopefully that quad injury doesn't pop back up, and he's able to, make it fully through that game. Yeah. Next, we got tight end Cole Turner, hamstring, full participant, game status. As you see, nothing there. I'm excited for this guy, as I'm pretty sure you are as well. But one of the things I want to bring up, because you made a very, very valid point, Amari Rodgers, man, and this tight end room as a whole. Last year, we know we had huge issues in the tight end room. That was one of our downfalls with, trying to make that late playoff push with having a lot of injuries. When Logan Thomas went down, we seen, and J.D. McKissic as well, we seen what that did to this offense that was already so limited. So just having the depth that we do in that tight end room, even if he didn't play this weekend, I wouldn't love it, but I feel comfortable with the guys that we do have in that room. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing you were saying. As opposed to what we were last year, and just in general compared to most tight end rooms across the league, we got a really good, just a solid tight end room that has so many people that could come in and make plays, and all of them are young, aside from Logan Thomas, who's still not old, but not nearly as young as the other guys. A lot of people were expecting a little bit more from John Bates week one, but the reality of the situation is he's more of a utility guy, and you're not gonna. He can play in the pass game. He definitely has hands. He knows how to find his spot and get open, but he's not a guy who's going to see as many pass attempts in a game as I feel like a guy like Cole Turner Armani Rogers are, because to me, Cole Turner, everybody talked about the athlete he is and
Yeah.
just who he is in the pass game. He has ability in the blocking game, but he's obviously here to be a pass catcher. And
Right.
I think we're in a real good spot. Cole Turner's, he's a dog. I can't wait to see him. I think, I love for Logan Thomas to be here as long as he can, because he's a beast, both in the block game and in the pass game. When it's farther down the future and where it's the young guys' time, I think John Bates, Cole Turner, that's gonna be a deadly 1-2 duo, because they're so great at the things that they're good at. Like John Bates is probably, if he's not the best, he's one of the very best in the league at blocking as a tight end.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
he finished first in every grade there was in terms of blocking win percentages. He's a monster. And Cole Turner, he's extremely good in the pass game. So I'm real excited. And then talking about Armani Rogers, I love Armani Rogers ever since, just from the very beginning. He's a guy that you can tell has genuine skill. To me, he's Logan Thomas 2.0, not in terms of production yet, obviously. Just it's cool to see
Right.
the quarterback transition to tight end from Logan Thomas, and the same transition for Armani Rogers. And they both look good. And it's obvious Carson Wentz trusts Armani, a guy who has had no real genuine impact in the NFL yet. So for him to have that trust, that must mean that there's something there. I love the tight end room we got.
Yeah, most definitely. It's kind of, and it's so funny because you look, like we talk about, we give praise to our offensive line coaching, and then if you look at it with the tight end coaching as well, they're able to get things out of the O-line and the tight ends that you just are kind of shocked in a sense of. I mean, to even bring on, project, which, he's no longer with us, like Samus Reyes, and him being quote unquote supposed to be the best blocker or one of the better blockers as tight end, for a guy that never played football in his life. I mean, to be able to get that out of him is huge, man. So, like you said, the story with Armani Rogers, I mean, absolutely crazy. I'm excited to see what a guy that, has played receiver in Cole Turner, and then, in his last 2 seasons with who did he play for? Nevada. He had 18 touchdowns. So he's going to be a huge weapon for us. And I know Carson Wentz is really going to love that guy once he's able to get out there and play with us. So we shall see. We might get the debut of Cole Turner against Detroit in Detroit. And it's also be good because Detroit doesn't have any film on this guy. They don't know what to expect with him. So, this could be something. Watch for Scott Turner with his creativity, implementing something with this guy that we haven't seen yet. So next, this says Cole Turner, but I think this is supposed to be Cole Holcomb. I got this off of their site. So this is, a typo on their side. I'm not taking the blame for that. But linebacker Cole Holcomb, quad injury limited. Nothing in the game status. So I don't know, man. I don't know, but this scares me a little bit. First thing I want to say is I love Cole Holcomb, but I need more from him. I need more from both of the linebackers. We're going to bring up the game stats from Jacksonville, and then we're going to also look at the game stats from Detroit's Week 1 matchup. But, we gave up a lot of rushing yards. And, I need these linebackers to definitely step their game up. I expect more from Cole Holcomb, being a guy that's, been in this, this defense for a couple years now. He's a leader as well. So we shall see. But we're one injury away from seeing that guy, John Bostic. And I'm not excited or happy about that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I as a whole, our linebacker core has very specific spots that they struggle in, and they got things that they do good.
Right.
Just it's obvious that's the weakness for our team right now on the defensive side, probably just in general. Cole Holcomb, like you're saying, I love him. He's a great veteran, great leader. He does the things he does good really well.
Right.
Footage I was watching last night, I feel like he's stuck on. He's a lot of times his assignment is the running back, and it's one of those things where it's him because he's the best we have at staying with the running back and watching halfback checkdowns and stuff. Just out of the passing game,
Right.
but our best is, that's average to that point, and like you're saying, there's definitely more we could see out of Cole Holcomb. A big thing I think in this linebacking room is Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb both struggle mildly with a lot of different things. And to me, most of it is because of how much is put on them because of the struggles of just our middle field defense and our linebacking core as a whole. Just in general, when you got guys struggling and I'm not trying to, dog on any one player, but I know
Right.
Something I was seeing a lot in all 22 the last game and just through the season last year was Bobby McCain a lot of our pass defense runs through Bobby McCain.
Right.
He is almost always middle field safety every time, and we run a lot of middle field close, cover 1, cover 2 variations, and he's almost always the guy and that's handling middle field close. And it's his responsibility to handle plays over the middle of the field. And a lot of the time he's letting up big plays. And to me, when you just don't have that communication from linebacker core to the secondary, there's going to be problems. And you're right. We just got to see more from our linebacking core. And John Bostic is a guy I like because, again, he's good at the things he does good, but he struggles terribly in the pass game. And it's not a good replacement for Cole Holcomb and what he does if we don't have Cole. So I'm hoping he plays. I think he will play, but
Yep. We shall see. And I think, especially in this game as we're ready to get into the Detroit Lions injury report. But like I said, man, they're a physical team, man. They're a team that wants to punch you in the mouth. And, we know who they have in the backfield with DeAndre Swift. And these linebackers are going to be huge, absolutely huge in this game this week. So hopefully we'll have Cole Holcomb. Let's go ahead and dive into the Detroit Lions injury report. Now, this first guy, I'm going to go ahead and give a disclaimer. If I mess any of these names up, they have some absolutely crazy names on here. I'm going to try my best, give it my best shot. But first guy on here, center Frank Ragnar, one of the best centers in the league. As you see, this is not good for them, but this is absolutely excellent for us. No practice on Friday, and his game status is out, officially out. So, we just talked about being able to stop the run game, and then also, with Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne in that middle, they should be able to absolutely wreak havoc on the backup center or whoever this guy is. I mean, we go against some pretty top-notch offensive lines in the NFC East. And Detroit Lions have one of the better offensive lines around the league as well. But this is absolutely music to my ears to see Frank Ragnar out game status for Sunday. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same thing you were saying, dude. You never wish injury on anybody, but if there were, that's a really, really big injury for us in terms of what we can do, because we know the pressure we were getting on Jacksonville last year. The Lions are one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
That he's one of, if not the best center in the NFL. Yeah. And that's huge for us. Yeah. Although Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne were matched up a lot for whatever reason, just because of the bunch formation and the way Jacksonville was moving their offensive line. They were matched up against tackles a lot last year, or last game.
Last week,
you saw Jonathan Allen on Cam Robinson a lot. Things like either way, now with him out, and I don't know who their backup center is. That's my fault, but he's not nearly as good as Frank. I know that. So that's a really good matchup for us. And if we're able to get him and not to skip ahead, but DeAndre Swift, if they're both out for that game, our defense is going to have a really good time. I think they have the Lions, I think they have a genuinely good offense. I think Jared Goff fits their scheme real well, and they do the things that, they do a good job of getting down and score points. They put up, I think it was 35 against the Eagles, a good defense. So those are two huge injuries for us. And that's a big thing, not to, get overhyped about that.
Hey, listen, I get it. Like you said, those are absolutely huge. And it seems like we're going to go ahead and stay on the offensive line, because also you have Jonah Jackson, the guard, no practice on Friday. And like I said, people, Fridays are the days you want to look at when you're looking at the injury report. If you don't see guys practicing here, this is a big indication that most likely you will not see them on Sunday. So no practice, and they got him listed as questionable. But in my eyes, I don't think we're going to see this guy. Our defensive line is a possibility. We have an absolutely field day. Love it. You know what I'm saying? Love what I'm seeing there. Another offensive lineman missing and questionable for the game on Sunday. Now, let's go ahead and jump to the safety position. They're missing another guy, and this name is absolutely crazy. Pitu Melafunwu, safety. It's at limited practice, questionable. So this most likely will be something like a game time decision. We'll see. But there's nothing in their secondary. I know people, will try to talk about their corner. What's his name? Number one, Akuda. But in my eyes, they're physical. But as far as coverage wise, with all of the weapons we have, I just don't see too many teams being able to match up and stop our offense. So what are your thoughts on them missing him?
I know that he's obviously, not that I know his name very well, but I know he's not a huge contributor to the secondary, but
right.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, he's not some renowned safety, but
right.
in terms of their secondary, which is and as good as Jeff Okudah is, and I do think Jeff Okudah is going to be a really good corner in the NFL. Their secondary is really weak, right. And one thing I did want to point out is the Lions. All of last year, their defense was the very worst in the NFL against RPOs. They were 4% lower than the second place for second worst against RPOs.
Right.
And in week 1, they were ranked third worst in the NFL against RPOs. So it's obvious they have not made much improvement in that area, and that's a huge thing for us. As you know, Scott Turner loves RPOs and all kinds of in-play reads for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is the master of the RPO.
Right.
Especially with these injuries, we're in for a really good offensive game, and with those offensive injuries, we're in for a good defensive game. Both whatever the corner's name is, Akawarebe and the safety, them both being out is huge for us,
right.
Especially with the fact that their defense is already behind what we're trying to do. So these are really good injuries. We'd be having a good matchup no matter what, but with these injuries, that's putting us up a lot more.
Right, most definitely. As you just said, they're also missing corner Amani Aruway. No practice, questionable. He didn't practice Friday, so most likely we won't see this guy. Now, moving on to the big fish, the big guy, DeAndre Swift, running back. Limited practice today, questionable. Now, I don't know your thoughts on it, but me personally, I think we are going to see Swift on Sunday. I don't think he misses this one. There was reports that I seen around Twitter from nobody credible, but I did see some stuff where they were saying that DeAndre Swift said he wasn't going to miss this game. But, limited practice and then also questionable. So there's definitely something there with him. And, like you said, we don't wish injury on anybody, but hopefully we're able to put pads on this guy. And maybe that may, what he's dealing with the ankle may slow him down just a little bit. And we're able to keep him boxed up for the most part. What's your thoughts on Swift?
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Frank, but it's obvious he's their playmaker. Everything runs through DeAndre. He had a great game last week against a good defense.
Right.
I don't know. Again, not hoping injury on anybody, but I really hope we don't have to see DeAndre Swift. But if we do, he's going to be a problem. We just got to make sure we stay on him. And like you were talking about before, who we are at containing running backs is that's not our identity. We're not all good at it. We struggle pretty bad, when it comes to containing running backs, especially if we don't have Cole Holcomb this week. I think we will, but if we don't, and they have DeAndre Swift, we'll be in a really, really bad spot. But, I think if he is there, we'll still be able to contain their offense just with the pressure we're going to get on Jared Goff and on their run game. But if he is there, we'll definitely have a much harder time. If he's not there, we're going to have a field day because as much as I like Jamal Williams, I think he's a pretty good on third down back, but he's not DeAndre Swift. Well, we should have a really good game against his offense, especially if Swift isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely, man. I watched the All 22s, and I also watched their game 2 times. And Swift, I mean, holy, this dude is absolutely filthy. And we got a taste of him. I think that was 2 years ago when we had to play Detroit. He was absolutely amazing. So I don't expect anything different coming from him. Now, the last 3 guys listed here, full practice. So these guys are going to play Michael Brockers, Taylor Decker, and then also Julian Karwu. That would have been probably a pretty good one to have that guy missing at the linebacker position. But as you see here, these guys will be playing. But for the most part, I will say it seems like as of right now, we seem to be winning the injury battle.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to bring in the box stats from the Eagles and the Lions game, and then I'm going to bring in the box stats from our game against Jacksonville. First, we're going to look at Detroit. Got it right here on the screen. Now, the first thing I want to look at, and people, like you said, some people are looking at this Detroit team as a pushover. And for me, I'm sorry, looking at the game that they played against the Eagles, and then also looking at these box stats, this team isn't going to be a pushover by any means. 386 total yards on the day, 200 passing yards. That's something you pretty much, like you said, you expect from Jared Goff. They're not really asking him, to be a world beater. But the stat that really sticks out here is the 181 rushing yards.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane. Almost 200 yards on the ground. And as you know, here in Washington, our run defense isn't playing up the part right now. A guy that came off Achilles injury, and James Robinson was pretty much gashing us all week 1. So what are your thoughts on looking at this breakdown?
Yeah, man, just like you were saying, the Lions are definitely, their offense especially, it's no pushover at all. They have a genuinely solid offensive unit. This is something I was saying last year when they got Jared Goff and Penei Sewell.
Right.
Shout out to Penei as well. He's a monster. But their offensive unit is stacked, especially, if DeAndre Swift is going to be playing. I was saying all last year that they have a genuinely good unit. And Jared Goff is a guy, anyone who follows my page knows that, that's my area. I'm constantly watching all 22 on quarterbacks because, that's where my experience is. And Jared Goff is a guy that, although a lot of people look at him as some, just some average to below average quarterback who kind of was just a product of the system of Sean McVay, the reality is he's genuinely good at what they're asking him to do. And he has a good arm. The main thing to me in a quarterback is making decisions. I feel like that's the most important part of a quarterback's game, is to be able to read a defense and make the right decision. And that's something that Jared Goff does pretty well. And with the offense he has around him, they got a really solid team. Goff is a guy that, if we let him, he's going to slice up our defense. He's going to look like an elite quarterback against us if we're not doing the right things. And this is a secondary that needs to be ready for that. Like you're saying, to me, this game is a game that, if we win, it means everything. It means a lot in the general media's eye. It will mean nothing if we win because it's the Lions. They're a pushover. But if we lose, they'll be like, oh, it'll mean everything, because then that really changes the complexion of this team. You almost lost to the Jags. Now you lost to the Lions. They're not even a complete team. This team is a team that, if it's firing on all cylinders, it could be a 9-win team. This is a good team, and we got to be on our A game to beat them. They almost beat the Eagles, and although the Eagles are in a bad way in terms of quarterback play, I think that it's hard, man, because like I was saying, they almost beat the Eagles, and we're right there with the Eagles to me on offense. So I think that Carson Wentz is going to have a good game against their defense, because, like I was saying, their defense didn't play very good. at all. Their
Right.
offense was really what was keeping them in the game, and their defense is struggling in a lot of ways, especially secondary. I
Yeah.
think Carson he's going to take advantage of that definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, another thing looking at this list, as we know, we did a pretty good job in the week 1 matchup against Jacksonville with the third down efficiency. But, some of that stuff was self inflicted by Jacksonville. So I'm not going to give our defense outside of, our defensive line, I'm not going to give them too much credit. But as you see here, Detroit Lions, 9 for 14 on third down. That speaks to the efficiency that you just talked about with Jared Goff and him being comfortable in the offense and them knowing what they want to do in their games and how they attack defenses. So 9 and 14 on third down, that's not bad at all. 23 first downs, and then the 1 fourth down conversion they went for, they got that as well. So, this team, another thing I'll point out real quick is sacks allowed, only one. And that speaks to the offensive line and how good they were. I mean, when I was watching that game, they were absolutely moving the line of scrimmage. So if some of these guys are banged up and not able to play like we talked about, this will definitely aid us in being able to get pressure on Jared Goff and hopefully get him into making some of those uncharacteristic decisions that he makes. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, just like you were saying, they got their offense is set up in a way that could easily take advantage of us and kind of expose those holes in our defense. Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, likes to, in a lot of ways, he's similar to Scott Turner in the way he runs his offensive line. Like you were saying, 1 sack, even though they're going to be missing Frank and
Right.
Taylor Decker's probably going to play, but even with that huge hole in their offensive line, as good as their offensive line is, a lot of it is Ben Johnson, the way he moves his offensive line. Our biggest characteristic on our offensive line is how much we ask our guys to move around. We have a lot of versatile offensive linemen, and we use them in ways that's untraditional in pass blocking. And the Lions are very similar in that regard to where they have their center, their guards, and their tackles all moving around in pass protection. You got rocket pass protection where it's just straightforward. You're supposed to be blocking your man. And against the Eagles, and they're all 22, you're seeing a lot of Taylor Decker, Frank, and Penei Sewell moving around. And there was a play, I think it was Brandon Graham, somebody coming off the edge, pushing off the edge, and you see Frank
Ragnar.
Yeah, Fragnar coming off. He comes from his center spot, and the running back picks up linebacker blitz. Frank comes off of his spot, off his man, and goes and moves to the right side all the way to the edge, and pancakes Brandon Graham coming off the edge. So they move their guys around, and also in pass blocking as well as run blocking. That's a big thing. They move a lot in pass blocking as well. So just for who they are, even if they're missing players, the way their offensive scheme is, it's so perfectly aligned with what their players are good at. So we got some, there's a lot to deal with, and like you're saying, not too much credit to our defense. Our pass rush to me was very, very good.
Yeah,
I think that's where it is. If if we're balling on our defensive line and getting pressure in the quarterback's face and getting into the run game and stuffing the run, we're able to make up for a lot of the secondary linebacker mistakes. But if we're not getting pressure, they're going to slice us up. If he has time to make a decision, he's going to take advantage of the secondary. I think they did good, but I think guys like Bobby McCain and Kendall Fuller were very, very, they weren't making very good decisions. And if that's consistent and that's going to keep happening, and we're not going to play to our strengths and play cover 1, cover 2 man, and we're going to keep going in zone coverages where Bobby McCain, everything delegates to Bobby McCain, and we're running it through him. We're running middle field closed when that's not his strength. We're going to get torn up. But I have faith in general to take advantage of the holes that are in their offense, and I think we'll look pretty good.
Right. Yeah. My thing is, I one time I watched the Detroit and Eagles game. What I wanted to do was I keyed in on their receivers. I wanted to see, as we know, St. Brown, I absolutely love that guy. But he was dropping passes in that game. Chark as well. He was, he wasn't that shorthand receiver that you would like as well, although he did make a big catch at the end of that game. But, I wouldn't say their receiver core is superior to what we've seen in Jacksonville. So, we need these DBs to step up, man. I get irritated with, a lot of times it seems like we allow the catch and then we want to make this corners want to make a
Yeah.
play on it. They allow the guy to catch the ball and then they come in for the tackle. I would like to see them be way more aggressive, trying to lodge these passes out of there, not being okay with a guy getting 3, 4, 5 yards on the play and then coming up and making the tackle. We sold on William Jackson of him being this man guy, although he didn't, provide a lot of interceptions coming in, and we knew that. But at the same time, if you're known for being this sticky guy, then I need to see some of the stickiness and just making plays to where you're lodging the ball out of there before these receivers can get their hands on it. I think our DBs, they have a fairly even matchup, I would say, this week with these receivers. There's nobody that, absolutely scares me or has me super worried that I feel like we can't take care of.
For sure, yeah.
Now, we're going to go ahead and jump over to our game from last week and dive into these team stats a little bit. As you see here on the Washington side, passing yards, 305 yards, only 85 rushing yards. But that stat for me is a little misleading because, as we know in Washington, our pass game is an extension of our run game with some of the short passing stuff that we do with Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson, and then also J.D. McKissick. And I know a lot of people, especially some of the older fans, they're used to, the hogs and stuff like that, and they want to, pound the rock and stuff like that. But that's not our identity. Right now, our offense is, more in the image. I'm not saying we are this yet, but of like those early 2000 Rams with Marshall Faulk and, all those receivers that they had there. We're spreading the ball out, throwing it around the yard, getting it in our running backs' hands that have the ability to make guys miss in space. So the 85 yards is a little misleading, although we may see an uptick when Brian Robinson comes back. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, just like you were saying, the way this offense is built, it's the way Scott Turner's offensive architecture is. It's beautiful, by the way. Watching his all-22 from his first year here to now, it's just not only is it improvement, it's a beautiful transition from his traditional style he was running in Carolina to the league's new style and more of a replication of Sean McVay. I talked about this on my podcast a little bit. The way he sets up his offensive architecture weeks before, I was saying that when he was playing the Jaguars week 1, he was also playing Lions because we'll run things out of bunch formation where it seems pretty basic what we're going to do when we line up in bunch, right? Where you got motions from Curtis Samuel. Okay, they're going to either run it or they're going to give it to Curtis Samuel or they're going to run a short play action and boot to the right? And then in that week of practice leading up to the Lions game, he'll completely alter the way that we run out of bunch and he'll completely change the play. So out of bunch, now we're going quick outs or quick corners, or we're going straight across the middle of the field and just completely change it up so that the Lions think they know what's coming when they see bunch formation, but really it's been completely altered and changed. And in that way, I think Scott Turner he's a genius in a lot of ways. He's got a really good architecture that fits who we have in terms of playmakers. And we're not a run it down your throat team, but we are a take what you will give us team. If that's what you are allowing, Antonio Gibson is 100% capable of running it down your throat. We saw in the Cowboys games. We saw in the late stretch near the end of the year last year when we were 4-0 winning games, death by 1,000 paper cuts type deal, where we're taking 8 minutes of possession. Antonio Gibson is running, getting 50, 60 yards in a possession, we can do whatever we need to do. Again, we don't need 100 rushing yards in a game to dominate. Our passing
Right.
game is so skilled to where it doesn't matter. And with the new opportunities coming for guys like Curtis Samuel in the run game, and when Brian Robinson comes back as well, he'll be getting splits. And the way we want to use Antonio Gibson, they changed it up a little bit. Now we just want to get him in open space. He's not going to be as much of a traditional back, but he can still do that.
Right.
In general, we got a set offensive set, especially with their defense. I do think that the Lions defense is not much worse, but I think that they're noticeably worse than the Jaguars defense. Their offense is much better, but I think their defense is a really big hole. And with where our offense is at and what it showed in week 1, I don't think that there's any way that we score any less than, maybe 25 offensive points.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And, looking at this list again, first downs, man, huge, 26 first downs. And then also third down efficiency, 7 for 10. I mean, in that game, we shot ourselves in the foot. I mean, as we know with the turnovers, but, right before halftime, and I was at that game, I don't know if you were there, but right before halftime, Curtis Samuel has that fumble, but we were absolutely getting whatever we wanted on that drive. And it took, the win out of the cell there for a while and we got stagnant. But 7 for 10 on third down. We didn't have to go for it on fourth down at all. That's huge as well. Only 1 sack allowed. That speaks to how good our offensive line is, as well as we're finally starting to get the respect that we deserve when it comes to our offensive line, because, the narrative being pushed by the national media was that, with us losing Brandon Sheriff, one of the reasons we weren't going to be good this year was because of our offensive line, which was absolutely bullshit. And then, but the one area that I want to point to that is very disturbing and is a must, man. I'm so sick of every, week, I talk about this and I stress this, us giving the ball away, but we're not getting turnovers on defense. The one that Derek Forrest had, to me, that was just like a, garbage time, chuck it up, make something happen, play. So I don't even really count that one personally. But we lost one fumble, Curtis Samuel. Good thing it wasn't Antonio Gibson. And then, 2 interceptions thrown. We seen the good and we also seen the bad with Carson Wentz. So, this is the area that if we can fix this area, to me, that puts us in the scoring over 30 points, high scoring games right there. That's the area that I hope that this coaching staff is making an emphasis on. And also find this defense side of the ball. I know Chris Harris always asks these DBs, you like nice things. We need to get some turnovers of our own, put this offense in short field position and capitalize. It's another thing that is not on here, but I'll bring up is we did not kick a field goal at all in that game. That's absolutely huge for us. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. Everything you're saying in terms of turnovers, that's obviously a huge, huge part of this offense. To me, dude, just looking at everybody who follows my page knows that I have been one of the very biggest Carson Wentz supporters from before there was even a chance we might have him on our team. His last year in Philadelphia, I was watching all kinds of all 22 on Carson Wentz just because in general, he's a guy that I kind of looked up to as a quarterback, and I modeled a lot of whatever I could model after who he was in the pocket in terms of pocket movement, I would. So I was watching a lot of his film, and just misinterpretation and situational failure to me is a big reason why Wentz is viewed the way he is. I think just from what I've seen on film, comparing it to who he was when he was basically almost an MVP, right?
Right.
To me, there's no real distinguishable difference at all.
Right.
Maybe a little bit of athleticism, but he's still who he was. If anything, he's smarter and he's more attuned to NFL defenses, way less turnovers, way less danger throws. And although we saw 2 interceptions in that game, to me, there was no interception that he threw that was 100% Carson's fault. That is just a terrible decision, bad throw. To me, it's always situational. It's a mix. He's going to throw interceptions that are like, I don't know what you were thinking there. But to me,
Right.
the Jahan Dotson pick was a mix of Jahan Dotson not fighting for his inside, fighting inside to go after the ball, as well as cutting a little bit late. And just the way it was schemed, it didn't work out. There
Right.
was nobody else open. It was the right decision. It was a little bit late of a throw, but it was also a mix of Jahan Dotson not fighting for the inside leverage. So it's a mix, and then the Trayvon Walker one for one, that's just an insane play by Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, he's something else. So that's one of those things Chase Young does, that just completely ruins the idea of your offensive scheme and what you're doing. That was just a huge play by Trayvon Walker. A lot of people were talking about, okay, well then throw it out of bounds or find another receiver. But when it's a design screen like that, to most people, what it's basically, I remember my freshman year, my quarterback coach, who's now an assistant coach for Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
He a big thing that he emphasized was if you think of a screen pass as a pass play, you're going to muck things up and you're going to completely disrupt the rhythm of the play. The way that a screen pass should be looked at from a quarterback's perspective is as a handoff. You should be thinking of a screen pass as get the ball to the running back and that's your job, right? It needs to be in the spot every time. So when you get into those positions, the play's breaking down a little bit. You're not focused on, okay, let me look or let me try and get the ball out of bounds. You're focused on, I'm going to get the ball to the running back and let him do his thing before somebody messes this up.
Right.
So that's all there really was. I mean, you could say, oh, there's a guy there. Let me throw it out of bounds. But, it's not really realistic to say that. So those interceptions are not huge, like head scratchers to where it's, Carson Wentz, he throws a bunch of interceptions and throws a bunch of touchdowns. To me, who he is exactly what we need for this team. I think he's going to look really, really good against this Lions defense, especially with what we were talking about with RPO defense, how badly they struggled. From all the film I've watched on Carson Wentz, and that's one of those guys where I've watched a whole lot just from the very beginning. I feel like he's the perfect guy to lead this team, and those turnovers are definitely going to be limited. 7 interceptions last year. In general, he's a way better at protecting the football. Although there were 2 interceptions, if you're looking at it stat-wise, it's not very good. If you're looking at the game, it's no doubt he's going to get better and better, and the turnovers are definitely going to be limited if we can hold on to the football as well. The fumble side of it is a completely different problem. I think this is something that it'll clean itself up.
Right. Most definitely. So, with that being said, that's pretty much the inside look at, Washington and also Detroit as well. Ultimately, I think that we go into Detroit and I think we pull out this victory. This is another huge game in my eyes. I know, we got so many storylines with Carson Wentz being here. Starting the season with Jacksonville, we able to grab that win. And for me personally, I've been saying this in my videos. I actually love the way we won that game because, like I said, we saw, the ability of this offense. We saw the ability of Carson Wentz. We also saw, some of the turnovers as well. And we saw some of the inaccuracies. He missed a couple guys high, but ultimately we came out with this victory and the team rallied behind Carson Wentz. Huge victory in my eyes. And you love to see that. So I think that is one of those games that builds an identity for a team like Washington. So now heading into Detroit, this team, Detroit looks at us as food. I don't understand, what's frustrating to me. Now I'm going into my fan aspect here. What's frustrating to me is you have teams like Detroit, Jacksonville, bottom feeders for years, picking, first overall, second overall, meanwhile, in Washington, we haven't been the greatest by any means, but we're coming off of a year where we were fighting for playoff position with Taylor Heineke at quarterback, and then the year prior, we were in the playoffs, and we played a Buccaneers team very tough, which we also beat that same Buccaneers team last year in the regular season with Taylor Heineke. So we compete. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, we compete, and that was with a limited guy at the quarterback position. And, this year, from the national media and then, also fans of other teams, you see these people talking absolutely crazy, like, they should just absolutely whoop us. And, I think, we're going to catch a lot of teams off guard this year. And I think we go into Detroit, man. And I think this game will be one of those games where we really show people what's up. But like you said, if we win this game, all they're going to do is hit us with the whole narrative of, oh, it's only Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, everything you're saying is completely true. To me, that's one of the biggest reasons I love this team, because, no matter what success we have, no matter what we prove and what we show, nobody is going to get serious until we, have a Lombardi in our hands, and even then they'll still be counting us out. We're to me, the mainstream NFL media is all about players being likable or who's likable. And to me, the Lions are this team that, Washington's a team that nobody really cares for if you're not a Washington fan.
Yeah,
that's just the truth. To most people, there's more bad in Washington than there is anywhere else. All kinds of failed experiments, all kinds of stuff with Dan Snyder. Nobody cares about Washington unless you're a Washington fan. But, look at the Lions. They're up and coming. And, look at the Jags. They might be proving something this year. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be until, we got 11 to 12 wins consistently. We're in the playoffs every year. And we just gotta take that as, who cares? As a fan base, who cares? Because to me, that just builds my love for the team even more. It's like, because it's true. It's true. That it's passion and genuine fandom when nobody cares about the team. You're always being looked down on, and that you still have that, who this team is. It's not just it. Most people look at us defending this team and being like, no, we're not going to get stomped by the Lions. We are 100% going to beat the Lions as, oh, well, it's your team. So you think that there's better stuff there than there actually is. But the fact of the matter is, we're in this situation. We've been following it. So we know what this team is actually capable of. I don't think there's a doubt in the world, that us firing on all cylinders and playing how we should and barring injury, we will be a genuine contender in the NFL. And I like where we're at. I don't think that to me, I have 100% faith that we're going to win this game, and I could care less what the mainstream media says. They do that with everything. And, if there's not some guy like Aaron Donald or Patrick Mahomes on our team, nobody's going to care. So I don't care. It makes me happy because it makes those wins that much more sweet. When we beat a team like Tampa Bay last year, the way we did, or we beat a team like 11-0 Steelers, it just makes me that much more happy,
Yep, most definitely, man. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I see you guys in the comments. I just wanted to, get through the segment with my man Logan. So I really appreciate you guys checking out the stream, always supporting my man. Let me give a couple of shout outs. My man Corey Lott in here. And then also my man Roger Smith. Appreciate you guys coming and checking out the stream, taking on Detroit this weekend. Like I said, for me, this is a huge, huge game. I want this one. I don't care if it's Detroit. A lot of the players say, every game in the NFL, no matter who you're playing, it's going to be competitive. It's going to be hard. It is what it is. And, I don't care how we get this one. I just want it. I think overall we have the better team. This is a team in Detroit that's still, learning. They have an identity. I will give them that. They have grit, behind their coach Dan Campbell. But I think that, they still feeding off of that whole Hard Knocks high right now. And their fans are talking absolutely crazy. This will be a good game, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on, Logan. It was an absolute pleasure. Had fun with you, my man. We'll definitely have to do this again. So with that being said, it's your boy RVA from VA. Peace.